Hello, I'm Paul Lezintsov and I'm the author of Fastington project and I'm CTO of Fastington Limited. I would like to cover the topic of DDoS scribing centers in this video. So, what is scribing center? What is DDoS scribing center? What is the point of it? From simple and from network perspective, it's like your ISP. Because for so many cases, for so many companies, your ISP may offer a scribing center for you, which is typically called in-house scribing. Or, even more interesting, if you work for a very large company, you may have your own scribing center in your company. So when I'm trying to explain like what a scribing center is, it's not necessarily external and third-party entity for you. It may be somewhere in your company, but it actually means that you need to do with like different approaches, how you can actually move traffic around and how you can actually redirect traffic to it. So in case of internal scribing center, you may have different options how you can move traffic into the specific scribing equipment, and you may use BGP for it. But let's focus more about external scribing centers because it's more common and there are some well-established approaches how you actually can do it and how you can move traffic around. So let's assume that we know for sure what is the target of DDoS attack in our network. So, okay, fine, we know this specific /32. Can we move this specific /32 for scribing center? No. Can we? Can we? But if you really want, yes. Why? Why? It's because it's definitely impossible to implement this BGP protocol because we can do things in BGP only boundaries of /24 and /32. But what you can do if you own DNS for this service and if you operate this specific service in this specific IP, you can renumber it. Or you can move it using DNS approach called CNAME, or you can just move it somewhere else for a specific company which offers security for websites. It may be Akamai, it may be Fastly, or it may be Amazon, so many of them. But in this case, you just move your website, not IP address, to scribing center, scribing cloud. And for many cases, if you really need security for your website, I'm talking about protocols like HTTP or HTTPS or QUIC, it's best way to avoid using scribing centers. Just move DNS service for this specific company because it's one of the best cases. It's one of the best cases how it can be implemented because HTTP protocol, because it relies on DNS protocol, is really simple to move around. It's way more flexible. There are no reasons to involve all complexity of BGP protocol for DDoS scribing. And if it's not HTTP service, it's something more complicated which relies on specific IP address, and we need to filter it out. We need to stop malicious traffic from going to this specific IP, and then it means that we need to do some tricks. So first of all, again, because of BGP protocol constraints, we cannot move /32 around. Cannot. Impossible. Sorry about. I'm very sorry about that. But you can move /24, which again means lots of collateral damage. If you are very happy to have plenty of IP address space, it will be great if you can scatter your very important services into their own prefixes. At least you definitely can do it for IPv6. It's definitely doable because of address space and it's cheap. IPv6 is literally free. And you can move around different services, and when you move around specific, like maybe /48, it may affect only specific service, not plenty of unrelated services. That's a reason to think about addressing policy. Because in terms of DDoS, you will need to move networks around your planet, in some very different places. And let's imagine, okay, you have identified like /24 prefix for a specific service, and you want to move around the scribing center. What you can do? You need to use protocol BGP, or you need to use API provided by specific scribing center. In both cases, even BGP, it's not the best way to move traffic to scribing center. API, it's also a bad way to move traffic around to scribing center. Both of them have issues. I think I may focus on that in the future. But it's not about saying, we are not going to change the world, we are not going to ask, or supplier, please change your protocol and how you can actually enable defense. It's completely out of scope of this presentation. So what we need to do, we need just to accept what's going on. So you need to have agreement in place with your scribing center. You may find many scribing centers. I personally can recommend at least 2 companies. One of them is really great. It's not for-profit organization. It's called NPIP Navas. They are from Netherlands, but they work in Europe. And next company is called Vaxility. Both of them, they are really nice about their capabilities. They understand DDoS landscape very well, and they can help you. So I would recommend, but it's not limited by those companies. They're just companies I had personal experience working with. They're great. But in your region, if you operate somewhere in Asia or South America, you need to have different suppliers, because you need to keep in mind all the time your latency. Because not every single type of traffic can be moved around the planet without cost. Because all the time when you move traffic around to your scribing center, it hurts. It definitely degrades your latency, and for many services, again, like games, it's just impossible, just unacceptable. You just cannot, you need to do something different. But for most of the services, it's kind of acceptable, but you need to be prepared that your traffic will be degraded. So, and if you are talking about completely dead service, in compare is slightly affected by degradation service, of course, slightly affected service is better. But if you just want to keep your specific service all the time under DDoS scribing, it's a terrible idea. It's one of the worst ideas you may ever have. Because you move traffic over third party, and again, your scribing center may have downtime. Your scribing center may have latency. Your scribing center may have false positives, and they may filter out your fancy customers. Your most paying customers, just because it happens. So under normal circumstances, you must keep traffic locally in your network. And idea of moving all traffic around to some scribing center which magically filters everything, it's very attractive. And even for management, even for networking areas, it's not my problem anymore. But there are no reasons for it. You actually literally, with your hands, degrade service. Because when you move traffic to DDoS scribing center, their main qualification is to scrub DDoS. And if you have hammer, everything is like finger. Do you get what I'm talking about? If you deal with DDoS traffic on a constant basis, your spike of absolutely normal visitors visiting your site because of great advertisement campaign run by your marketing department may be treated like DDoS and filtered out. Don't do it. Just don't do it. And DDoS scribing may be activated on demand when you want it, when you really need it. So first level, you may black hole IP, and then in very quiet environment, you may create BGP announce or BGP peering session with your scribing center. Or you can make some specific API call to move traffic to scribing center. But there are two problems again. So if you use BGP, it's great because you have, even this API, it's great because you have control when you can actually move traffic back. But what you need to look around, so it doesn't mean that, okay, we have attack, we move traffic around for scribing center, and then problems solved. No. You need to keep talking with your scribing center. If they have graphs, dashboards, reports, they must. Ask them, is it what about attack? Is it finished? No, because in many cases, keeping traffic over scribing center, it costs you money. It's real money, because typically they charge something like for 95 percentile, or if you keep your 100G link for a long period of time. That's really serious money. That's a main problem, because to filter traffic, you need to send all traffic to them, which means if you have 100G for normal traffic, and you need more capacity. You need capacity to deliver to your scribing provider, and of course your scribing provider you'll need to pay for their capacity, because there are no magic to avoid cost. But for example, if you want to move prefix with 100G of outgoing traffic, it may have serious impact on your bills for scribing center, because typically they expect that your traffic is slow, and it's your clear interest to keep it low. But having like algorithm like 95 percentile in place, you have great option. You can just look your eyes on attack, and attack stops, move it away to your backdoor network, because again, as I said, all the time when you move traffic to scribing center, it degrades you. It degrades traffic seriously, and that's the reason why I recommend to keep traffic over scribing only for time. That is absolutely necessary. You cannot avoid, and in this case, you must do it, and you must avoid collateral damage, and you must to keep it this way. So, and what is the best option how you can actually automate it? We will focus on my next videos, but before, you may hear more about what we can do if we have no access for scribing center and how we can actually improve scribing center experience. Keep subscribing. Thank you.